Listen vision, listen vision, listen vision, listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio.
All right.
Hello,
everyone.
What's up, folks?
Welcome to the Swerve Show.
Welcome to the Swerve Show.
It is what, April 25th?
Yeah.
So we're running a little late, so we're going to get our show started. I want to welcome our host, of course. We've got the legendary Racine Pendarvis here. Hello, say something, Racine.
Hello.
Yes, and speaking to the mic.
And speaking to the mic. Good evening, everyone.
Eat the microphone. And your day, Noah. Here.
What's up, folks?
All right, we're going to get started because we got a full show. So, of course, we're still riding on our March, April issue, celebrating the big boys.
We're still riding on it? That's what you said?
We're still riding.
We're riding on it?
Okay, right.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone has had a chance to really consume every piece
thank everybody for following us
in
on
this
Facebook
issue. Yes,
Live.
Follow us and share, like
Hi,
and
Tamisha.
share.
Yes.
Is Tamisha Iman on?
Savannah.
Okay, Savannah. So we've got a wonderful show here. We have an activist, a local and national activist with us, Savannah Wanzer here. She's going to be joining us later in the second part of the show. So she's a transgender activist, but you're more than that. You're an activist in general for equality across the board. So we look forward to having Savannah join us and telling us about a great project going on in May that we all should know about. Well, Racine, I know you had some things to tell us about, and I think we have a graphic up.
I do believe.
About the Ask Racine show, surprisingly.
Bam! Get you some. In the immortal words of Yarde Noir, it is Wednesday, May 2nd, 2018, at the HRC building. Please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's RAYCEEN. Next week, at Wednesday, May 2nd, is our community forum. And it's at the HRC building, which is 1640 Rhode Island Avenue.
Well, and there's the graphic there, and you've got Pam Ward coming. So
yes, Pam Ward.
Pam Ward is the ultimate
incredible
singer,
Pam
so
Ward,
we're going to have to check that
DJ, Mims, and the incredible burlesque performer Danity Dandridge. That's one of the things that I'm doing. I have so many other things going on. Right. I'll talk about them later on.
Yeah, because we don't have enough time for all that, do we? Anyway, let's keep it moving. Yarde, what's going on with you, my friend?
It's official.
What's official? You are.
I'm officially the president.
Yo, UDC has elected the diva. The diva.
Oh, they elected you at
president.
UDC for student board.
UDC Community College. Yarde Noir, aka Kenyatta Howard, is the president of Student Government Community College.
I think it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So
isn't that wonderful? Tony Nelson, our other co-host, is joining us Facebook Live.
Hi,
we
Tony.
Love you.
Hey. Yarde won.
Roderick, we love you too.
Is there an inauguration?
Can
we come show out at the inauguration?
We're actually supposed to have a swearing ceremony. Is to be announced. So as soon as I find out, I'll let you all know.
Aren't they holding it at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue?
We're going to show up with boas and everything. Anyway.
Not interested.
Anyway. So let's keep it moving.
I see all of us have theme shirts on tonight. I'm wearing the Sex is Pride from the Sex is campaign. I love it. I thought I'd make it pop tonight.
Sex is Pride. I like that. I want one of those. What are you
I
wearing?
am rocking.
What is that?
There it is.
And knocking up too much
It is
cocktails.
Be Ambitious.
Be Ambitious. Okay.
By Alexis B. Bianca. I'm repping you, boo.
Oh, I want to get one of those. So I'm representing my Washington Wizards who just lost a critical Game 5. in the NBA
But they're
playoffs.
still
But
winning.
hey, we're still in this thing. Anyway, let's get it moving.
Hey, B, she just logged in. She said, "Hey, Yardie."
We've got some news items. How about let's talk about
Hi, Beth.
the first news item. Meek Mill has been released from prison. We got
Bam!
that up?
Yes!
Get you some.
And he came
Justice.
out and went right to the Sixers game. I mean, they had the helicopter come
But
get him and everything.
hold on, let's start before we even get to the
Let's
helicopter.
go back. Let's go back to
How
Meek Mill.
about the owner of the 76ers showed up to the prison to pick Meek Mills up? How about,
Right.
how about those
he arranged
apples?
for the
Wow.
helicopter.
Yes.
Isn't that
From the,
amazing?
from the prison to the game.
Yeah, he came there and picked him up.
Right.
Put him on a helicopter and then took him to.
And I'm going to be honest
Sickening.
with you. I don't even know what a Meek Mill is. Do y'all know?
He's an incredible performer. You don't know who he
Meek
is?
Mills became popular after dating Nicki Minaj. So he
Oh,
had
I did see a
he
video
had
with him and
he had a
her.
rap career before that, but nobody was really paying him no mind.
Gotcha.
And then he was dating Nicki Minaj, and then he got thrown in jail over some dumb stuff. He
Violating
violated
his
parole.
Oh, I saw that. He did.
Right.
He was riding these little motorbikes.
And so
wheelies.
literally, the judge threw him in jail for 3 to 4 years, and it was a big outcry because it was ridiculous.
It was a bit
and
egregious,
it
right.
really became a big issue recently within recent news because this white guy who went and shot up the Waffle House in Tennessee, they gave him a $2 million bail. They gave him a bail. No. Now, mind you, this man's background. I'm sorry, I need to take this moment because I'm a little hot about this.
Come on, we'll
situation.
talk about it.
He just shot up.
Keep it moving.
He just
We
shot up
love you
4
back.
people.
4 people of color. Did you
Four
know
people
that?
of color. It was a black man who was the hero.
We saw
Who
that.
grabbed the gun, burnt his hand because he grabbed the rifle of the gun.
Right.
The man ran off. Now, before the Waffle House even happened, he got arrested at the White House.
We know that.
They snatched guns from him,
Right.
gave the guns back to his father.
Father who gave the guns back to him.
And the father gave the guns back, but you're going to give him bail.
Right.
But you
yeah.
give Meek Mills 3 to 4 years?
4 years.
I
4 years,
can't.
right. Yeah.
So,
Welcome to systematic racism.
Well, prison reform. And
there's so many things wrong with that on so many levels. It's so many things that we look at. One, that the judicial system is unfair, and it's unfair to people of color. And unfortunately, we look at how mental health has in this country is something that people don't look at and examine and understand that mental health, if it's addressed early on, if people would get the proper help that they need early on, they wouldn't go out and commit these
and how about
atrocious
we don't
crimes.
have these? We don't have these AK-57s. What are you raising your hand?
Because I have a statement.
Okay, we gotta keep moving.
What bothers me the most, and yes, I agree, I wholeheartedly am a champion for mental health. All of that. I am the champion. I'm the face for mental health. I'm the poster boy. However, what bothers me is that whenever it's a white man who decides he wants to shoot up some space, we want to scream mental health.
It's not terrorism.
No, let's call. Thank you.
not
That was
terrorism.
my problem. He's a terrorist. Let's call a thing a thing.
Ooh.
He's a terrorist.
All righty,
That's what
Yana.
he is.
All righty,
And
Yana.
we're not gonna sugarcoat it. We're not gonna make it pretty. He's a terrorist. He came on American soil and he shot up some people who was innocent. Yeah.
Well,
and what bothers me is your president.
He's not my president.
Your president.
Stop it.
Has
That's my
not.
president.
Your president has not.
Well, he's got his own concerns because he's
I
about to
don't
get
care.
impeached. But let's keep it
He
moving.
gave that man his grace.
But let's keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
We will keep our eyes on that situation. But what's interesting to me though is
I'm sorry.
they
But
neglected.
can we hold on? On all seriousness, can we just have a moment of silence for those young people?
Okay,
who
let's
lost
make it a
their
quick
lives?
moment of silence. Okay, there you go. All right, somebody's got their sound on. Is
No,
that
that's you.
Is that me?
That's
Yes,
you.
yes, your grinder and jack is going on. Please turn that on.
What are those? I'm not
Swipe
familiar
left,
with
swipe
those.
right. You should have turned that off.
By the way,
Anyway.
if you're tuning in
and
the
I think
show,
I know
please-
that man. He's a deacon in my church.
Please like and
Please
share.
like and share.
But I wanted to make one comment about that. The fact that the victims were persons of color, there's been no mention of a potential hate crime, and I'm curious to see how that's going to play out.
Or I just saw today their faces and their names and their ages.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they were
I
young.
just
They're
saw.
young.
I
They were
just
young.
saw it
Couple
today.
college
And actually,
students.
I'm going to post it on Twitter in the morning, and because I couldn't find any information about these babies, and it's a travesty. My heart goes
It
out
is.
to their
It
families
is.
and their parents.
It is.
And lives just.
And all I kept saying is, That could have been me sitting in the Waffle House.
Because I live for the Waffle
You know
House.
how often we go to the Waffle
Whenever
House
I
when
take
we
a
travel?
trip down south, I live for the
Baby.
Waffle House. I
The
said,
Waffle House is
could've
my
been-
spot.
That could have been any of us. So let's keep it moving. So
Okay.
we've got another item. The National Black Justice Coalition just received a new grant from the Walmart Foundation for $250,000 for their HBCU program.
So what is the
That's
HBU
outstanding.
program?
HBCU program, and it's about making the environment more conducive for gay and lesbian students. And they also, the HRC also has a similar program, so they should be working with you.
Yes.
We can connect you.
Please
with
do
them.
connect
Right,
me.
Right.
We're going to connect them to
Hats off
UDC
to-
and HBCU.
I think it's wonderful. I think it's.
But
I
you're
think
at
it's
the community
outstanding.
college.
I
But we're not going to talk
applaud
about
them.
that.
It doesn't matter. We're still a historically black
So
university.
hats off to
Thank
Sharon Letterman Hicks and David for their great work
And to
in
Walmart.
to advance
Yes.
this. And thank
It's
you
a-
Walmart.
Thank you,
for supporting
Walmart.
this initiative. So
Even
we
though
wanna thank
Walmart,
them.
I need you to finish that Walmart that's in Southeast that you never finished. Thank you.
It's not coming.
That's not coming. That's
It's
right.
not coming. You're going to get a Jerry.
So
The shade.
let's move on since we
The
got
shade.
a lot. We got a lot. The one item that I'm just not letting go of course, is Stacey Abrams.
Come on, Stacy.
Stacey
Yes,
Abrams
honey.
is running for
Stacey
governor.
Abrams.
Are you aware of this, Savannah? Okay, good.
Come on, Stacy.
Stacey Abrams is running for governor.
She's going to win.
Governor of Georgia. She will be
Yes.
the first
Wonderful.
black female governor in the history of this country, to my knowledge.
Atlanta, if you go to Bulldogs, you need to be going to the voter polls.
Always. I think we should fly down there and do voter
I
registration.
think we should go and just
In front
stand
of
at the
all the
look.
clubs.
May
Go stand in
22nd.
front
You
of
get a free
Bulldogs.
cocktail if
You?
you
Come
register.
Oh, wait a minute. We can't hear everybody talk at the same time. May 22nd. May
May
22nd is
22nd.
election day. So spread the word, everyone. Spread the word. Okay. Now let's move on. We've got we're going to call it Hot Seat. Since you're here today, we're going to call it Hot Seat section where we talk about some of the hot items going on. One, I just became aware of, and I'm a board member, but Us Helping Us has a documentary that we're showing on April 28th, this weekend.
Oh, it's this weekend. I thought it was
at
last
your
weekend.
University, UDC.
Oh, I thought it was last weekend. And it's not
Yes.
at the main campus. It's at the Bacchus campus.
Oh.
For those of you who...
Oh, off of South
Yes,
Dakota.
please.
Okay.
Because I looked at the flyer and I was like, "Oh, that's not at the main campus. It's at our other. We have a couple of campuses.
I've been at that was
You've been to
that
Bacchus?
was a high school.
Yes,
that
it
they
was.
turned into
Yes, by Fort
university.
Totten. Yes, because we're all over the city.
So anyway,
and
the film,
HBCU.
it's a great,
Thank you.
It's a great film that's supposed to capture, tell the story of the HIV epidemic and how the impact it's had in the Washington D.C. area, and then talk about the evolution of Us Helping Us. So we'll have other opportunities to show this film since it's
Which I think
it's this
is-
Saturday.
Which I actually, I am. When I saw the flyer, I actually thought it was last weekend because I wanted to go, but I had some things happen last weekend. But I'm glad to know it's this weekend because I'll try to make it.
I think that's wonderful.
So we're gonna make sure we put that out there. Come on, we got to keep it moving. We gotta keep
Speaking
it
of
moving.
films,
What you
y'all
got-
just
what
saw
you say about it?
the documentary on Grace Jones. How did you like
Oh,
it?
We did, but
we
hold
getting
up,
there.
hold up.
I ain't finished.
Okay.
Oh, well, he's
I just
rushing.
wanted to say.
Next.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say, being a person who worked for one of the most legendary and iconic HIV prevention education organizations in Washington, D.C., I'm extremely proud to know that they are doing a documentary because I think the history and the legacy of Us Helping Us needs to be told.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to know that. Now we can move forward.
Okay, all right.
Next.
Okay, all right. So we'll go make sure we see that. The GLAAD Awards, their New York version. They do an event out in L.A. and they have a New York event. Do we have any images for that? Yeah, it's two images. It's one of Ava DuVernay and Samira Wiley. They are both being honored. So that's great. I
love this
Of course,
lady.
Ava, and that's on May 5th
Ava is
here in New York City.
She is
Yes.
amazing.
By
And
the way,
Samira Wiley, who's our
And
local.
Samira, she's
yes, and
amazing
Samaya,
as well.
Samaya is she is a graduate of the prestigious Duke Ellington School
Yes,
of the
she
Arts.
is. Yes, she is.
Yes, she is. So
And
am I.
she is the daughter of two people that we love, Reverend Chris and Dennis Wiley.
They are so
over at
They
Covenant.
are
So they
absolutely
people.
amazing.
Two amazing lights and advocates in our
Groundbreaking
community.
ministers in Washington D.C.
Who just
Absolutely.
retired.
who just
Oh, they
retired.
just retired?
Yeah, they
I know
retired.
Reverend Chris has been talking about retirement for the last 10 years, so good for her. Hats
Also,
off to
they are
her.
alumni of Mr. Pastor Mr.
Dennis.
Yeah, he is a alum of Duke Ellington.
Oh, I didn't
also.
know that. I didn't know that. That
And an
explains
amazing
it.
He actually was.
singer.
He was the
He's an
speaker
amazing
at Mike Malone's funeral. That's
And it's
how I
funny
knew.
because I used to do a lot of work with them when I was at Whitman Walker, and they would always talk about their daughter. They were always
Yes.
taking their daughter to rehearsals and all those
Yes.
things. So it's great. I'm happy to see that she's been successful, and I look forward to featuring her sometime in Swerve. So we're going to work on
Yes,
that.
we need to get that. Hey, Wileys, if you're listening.
Yes, we want
How
to do
you
a feature
doing?
on the daughter
We
here.
need,
The other item, Jussie Smollett, is on a world tour, which is
Yes.
coming here May 25th. Were y'all aware of that?
I heard. Jesse called me when I was on the set at Empire, and I was cooking. I had took them some fried chicken, and I had cooked for everybody on the cast. But unfortunately, my
Did they get sick?
I got edited out.
You know, Taraji said there's only one room
There's
for
only one diva,
diva.
so I got edited
There's
out.
only one cookie. I'm sorry.
I was
right.
auditioning
Hey,
for
Eric.
a mother, but they
Eric.
edited me out.
So go on to Jesse's website and look for the dates. I just became aware of it. It's a tour. He's starting off in Germany and he's working his way through the United States. He's coming to the East Coast. He's in Philadelphia, New York, but he's going to be here May 25th.
It's amazing.
At
And
U Street Music Hall.
we should go. We should go. All you, me, Tony
I think I'm
Nelson,
gonna go.
all of us should go. The
I
whole
think
gang.
I want to go right in time for Pride.
I think it would be
So-
wonderful. Hi, everybody following us on Facebook Live. Tony, Eric, Bianca, Tommy, we love you.
Hey.
Yes, Darnell,
Beth.
Cedric.
Add and share. Share and
Yes.
like,
Yes,
I mean.
Yeah,
honey.
Sharon
Share
Light.
Light.
I got family members on here. Thank you for tuning in.
We have another item. Darnell Moore has a new book out called, what is the name of that book?
He is
Can we
so
bring up the name of the
handsome.
book?
Baby,
talented.
wait.
We're doing
wait.
a feature on Darnell.
Wait.
You know, Darnell is a
Wait.
no ashes in the fire. That's right.
Wait,
I just
wait,
spoke with
wait,
him.
wait,
Are you not familiar with
Wait,
Darnell?
wait.
He
Go
is
back to
so
the
amazing.
picture.
Can you go back
Can
to
you go
Darnell's
back to the picture? Bless God. Amen.
Yeah, he's
Hallelujah.
beautiful. He's beautiful.
Glory. Thank you.
And smart.
He's smart. He's intelligent. He's
Fashionable.
handsome.
Thank you.
Darnell is
Edity.
an activist, communicator. You know, he's a great speaker. We actually spoke the other day. We're looking to do a feature on him.
So
sometime
who's
soon.
doing the story? Are we doing photos?
We can do photos. He would
Can we
love
do
it. He's
photos?
very stylish. Darnell,
Please.
shout
Darnell
out to
is
you.
very
Hey,
man.
handsome.
Darnell.
We love you.
Can't
Hi.
wait to bring.
Hi, Shayla. Hi,
Can't
Thomas.
wait to learn more about this book, Darnell. So
Yes.
I wanted to give you
Like
some
and
love,
share
my
on
friend.
Facebook.
And Darnell, if you ever need pictures and you need someone to put that together, I'm your man.
But
My
he's
name
very
is
stylish.
Jardé.
He's very stylish.
Noah. Thank you.
Follow Darnell on Instagram and you'll see how stylish he
He
is.
is very stylish.
So we have one other item. Step Africa has a great new project called The Migration, Reflections on Jacob Lawrence, the artist that talked about the
Oh,
Great Migration.
great.
We have
That's
a clip.
amazing.
We have a trailer. Can we show that? All right.
Yes, that was sickening.
Oh, yeah, that's a great
And you
project.
said- and
It's
you
going to
said-
be at Catholic University in early June. I think it's June 5th through the 8th.
Yeah, so
something like
log
that,
on, go
18.
get yourself some tickets and get you some.
That was beautiful.
Yes,
it reminded me
yes.
of all those amazing years when I was dancing with Alvin Ailey and
Yeah.
Judith Jameson when I was kicking and twirling in my younger days.
Were you Judith's backup for what was it?
Reflections.
Reflections?
Revelations.
No,
Revelations.
actually, she was my understudy, and I got pregnant.
Okay.
Oh,
And I had to
okay.
leave the
I
company.
thought that was Dream Girls. Okay, I'm
Got
sorry.
you.
I'm sorry.
Oh, by the way, I want to shout out. By the way, I want to shout out Tamisha Iman. Thank you for sharing. And if you are online and you see Tamisha Iman, please follow her. She has an amazing show that is based out
Hi,
of
Tamisha.
Atlanta, and she is a writer for Swerve Magazine. She is in charge of the Royal Corner, which is everything
Royal
pageant.
Court.
The Royal
Royal Court.
Court.
That's right, the Royal Court.
Everything
I'm in charge of the
pageantry.
Royal Corner.
So I just wanted to follow up on that piece because Jacob Lawrence was the great artist that did a whole sort of series on the Great Migration. Black folks moving
Yes.
from the South, escaping Jim Crow and moving to the north. So we look forward to catching that. Step Africa is one of the bigger dance troops, I think, in around the country, black dance troops.
Right.
Based out of the D.C. area. They're the only ones that specialize in step.
I didn't know they were based out of D.C.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You didn't know that? Yeah. Based
I
out of
taught them
DC.
everything they know.
And that tour, and they've been touring the country with their project, and it's going to be here in I think in 2 weeks in June. So make sure you go to Step Africa, and that's Africa spelled with a K, and check it out. All right.
Amazing.
All right. Another item.
Hi, everybody in
Hey,
Facebook land.
Philadelphia, Philly Black
Hi,
Pride
Charles.
is this weekend, and that means the
That's
Penn
this weekend
Relays,
already?
and I will be there.
I know you
know.
will, because you're a thought.
I'm a thought.
You're a thought.
Well, I go for the relay. Shout out.
That's
to-
what you tell
That's what you
people.
tell us.
I go for the relay.
That's the front.
Have you been
That's
to the
what you
relay?
tell people.
Have you been to the relay?
Uh-huh.
I haven't been in years.
Oh my God, it's eye candy for everybody.
I'm sure.
Because I got some of my straight buddies. They go and they are watching those girls run
Straight
around that
buddies?
track. Yeah, straight
Oh, okay.
buddies. And they watch them young girls, old men too. They watch some girls all day long.
Yeah,
they
bless
stay
God.
there the whole
Amen.
time. So
Yes.
that's a great event.
I love the Penn Relays. I think it's fabulous.
It is
I met
fabulous.
my fourth husband there.
Your fourth one?
Yes.
Oh,
I was standing on the Royal Court. Corner.
By the Liberty Bell. Perhaps by the Liberty Bell. Now, what's interesting though is I don't know what is going on from a pride standpoint. All I've seen is the party flyers.
Well,
Well,
That's all
Earl,
I've seen. That's not Earl's job, but we'll talk.
Oh.
Earl's coming on the show next week.
oh,
actually.
Earl will be here next week.
He's coming next
Earl,
week.
we can't wait to see you, Earl.
I'm gonna leave that alone, Earl. But
Hey,
anyway,
Mom. My mother just tuned in. What's
hi,
up, Donna
Mom.
Howard?
Hi, Mom. So I did want to make sure that we mention
Miss
that.
Howard. Ow.
If you're not doing anything this weekend, come to Philadelphia. All of us will be there partying at the Penn Relays and for Philadelphia Black Pride.
Oh,
so.
that's great.
One other
Take
item.
pictures. Lots
I'll
of
take some
lots.
pictures. I got some pictures from last
And
year.
lots of pictures.
At the track meet.
At the track meet.
There's still time to complete the LGBT survey.
Please do.
And it's on our page, and I will repost it again. And as I stated before, this is a unique opportunity for us to give voice to our demographic, because oftentimes when we go for sponsorships and those sorts of things and advertising, they say we don't have the numbers and the demographics and the data on our community, and this is a great opportunity. So look for that. It's community marketing, and it's on our website. I mean, it's on our Facebook page. It's on our Facebook page. So if you look through that trend. All right. Okay. Well, we have a wonderful guest, and we're early, so we're gonna keep
So
it
that's
moving.
good. Keep it moving.
We're gonna keep it moving because we don't
Thank
have a
you.
musical spotlight.
Thank you,
today.
Jamil, for doing such an excellent job.
For pushing us along.
I'm trying to keep them together, folks. Y'all see how hard it is.
He's in charge of the group.
We have a
He's in
wonderful
charge of the
guest
girls.
here, Savannah Wanzer.
The madam.
Oh, definitely the madam. And I've been working with Savannah since my days at Whitman Walker. When I think I was 10. And Savannah was a board member at the time, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, I started out as a volunteer and then
Oh.
switched over as a board member. And I have 27 years of service with Whitman Walker.
Wow.
And for those who may not be aware of what Whitman Walker is, it's an AIDS service organization. Yes, speak into the mic.
And that's your camera right
Yeah,
there.
that's your camera.
Okay,
Right.
where's the lighting? Is lighting here?
Oh, there's light all over the place. We can see you see yourself.
Okay,
There you go. You
well,
look
where
fabulous.
am I? Where am I?
Tyra's got
That's your
nothing-
camera right
Tyra's
there.
got nothing
Oh.
on you. Tyra's got nothing on you. But anyway, we've so yeah. For those that aren't aware, Whitman Walker is a DC-based AIDS service organization that has really morphed into a health community or health clinic, so to
Correct.
speak. One of the larger
A full
agencies,
service
right?
clinic.
Like GMHC was in New York. They're one of the sort of the earlier ones that really addressed HIV and AIDS. And so I was working
And
with them.
transgender services.
And everything, right, and transgender services. And they've morphed themselves into really a healthcare clinic.
That's true.
Or so, but
And
anyway,
with an excellent mental health
Oh, wow.
division.
Really?
We
Really?
were just speaking about that, so.
but tell us more about who you are, because you're here to talk about a number of things. Tell us more about who Savannah is, all the things that you're doing, and what about this May project? We want to make sure we talk about that.
Okay. Well, briefly, I'm a native-born Washingtonian, and I've been a community activist representing the transgender community for over 20 years. And the project that I'm working on, I'm the founder of Capital Trans Pride.
Yes.
Okay.
And Trans Pride is one day celebration of the transgender community from 9 in the morning till 8 p.m. So our topics and conversations are very limited. Each conversation lasts 45 minutes, and that includes questions and answers. So originally, when I formatted Trans Pride, I wanted it to be a longer celebration. So it took 12 years for me to create the second part, and it's called May Is All About Trans.
Okay.
And we have a list of events that kicks off May 1st. And it's the first DC, Maryland, and Virginia Trans Summit.
Okay.
And
wow.
And it covers everything. And then we're having a soul food continental breakfast starting out.
Okay.
And then we are having it at the Reeves Center. And then we take a break for lunch and we walk across the street to Busboys and Poets. And we'll have a keynote speaker address.
Gotcha.
And then we will come back and conclude the summit. And then in the evening between 6 to 7:30, we have a meet. We Are the People. We Are the People are the formation of May Is All About Trans. And I went in the community and picked special people to serve on represent special communities. So everyone is represented. And some people fell by the wayside because my vision and me cracking the whip for the transgender community might have been a little bit too hard.
Well, it's always
or rough.
it's always a few people that are leading the effort. But tell us about what the overall objective is.
The overall objective is bridging communities, such as conversations with gay men and the transgender community. And also we have conversations with HIV in the transgender community. In that event, I wanted to try something very different. What I wanted to try was no cell phones, no Facebooking, no I'm here, no I'm there, and for the individual to feel more comfortable and more open to express this epidemic and to get more help. And I think it's a phobia with all this technology because people do not want to identify as being HIV positive.
Sure.
You know, so we have a list of things as for example.
Well, we'll go to the website for that. But let's talk
Okay.
about let's talk about what you said building bridges.
Yes.
Like, give us an example. What's like an ideal situation? What's an ideal bridge?
Well,
you're
the
looking to
ideal
build?
situation is the transgender individuals are outed and not treated too fairly by gay men. So we want to break that and be more loving, more friendly. We, as a rebound, you don't care too much for us, so we're not caring too much for you.
Well, you know,
so it's a
for
war
some,
on
for
both.
some, but not for all.
Let's talk about
Not-
that because
not for all.
there's that segmentation. You know, there used to be a time where we were all sort of lumped into one area. There was only like one space for us to go, so we all went. The boys, the girls, transgender men, transgender women, and now we have the sort of the luxury of the privilege to segment.
But I think that
segregate
that's
ourselves.
unfortunately what has happened is as we have grown and as a community and as a group, and so many opportunities are more available, it has allowed us to become fragmented, and it has allowed us to have a division that only speaks and addresses certain needs of each individual group, which that is not a problem. But sometimes you need to speak to those particular groups to address their concerns and their issues. But also you have to make aware that as a community, as a group of people of color, we are still stigmatized.
Yes.
We are still treated as such. And until we start coming together within our own groups and as people of color who are LGBTQ and begin to address those issues that we have with each other, then we can begin to build. And then we can begin to grow out, and then we can begin to talk about what's going on. And probably the conversation needs to be had on the division as a whole, because we've fragmented even with women, lesbian women, or even trans men. Now it's a whole, so we've got to begin to heal again, and then we get to begin to do the work and begin to dialogue and begin to communicate and start addressing our needs as people of color, as what's happening to us as a whole.
Well, part of it is, the sense of community used to be there because we all sort of were forced to interact with each other. So, these days, the groups are very homogeneous. You got the body boys, they're only with each other. The young kids are only with each other. And that's sort of the luxury of the privilege. Whereas when we were all together, you knew someone personally that was transgender, and so your output, your empathy for them was personal, and so it's a different time now because people don't engage with one another. That's my thought on it.
I mean, I do. I think that it's a great conversation that needs to be had. I'm a person who I am surrounded by a lot of transgender women who I consider them family members. They are, you know what I mean? I love them to pieces. They are like the world to me. The reality of it is, and this is the part that a lot of times the gay men in our community don't really recognize, is that historically, yes, there was a way where we were more of a community. However, a lot of times the gay men in the community a lot of times used the trans girls for shows, for fundraisers. But when it came to the needs for the transgender community, then it was kind of like, oh, we'll get to you. But we're the first ones to call the girls to do a show
or raise
coins.
That's where the confusion began, because an entertainer does not necessarily mean
live 24. Right, I
as
got
a
that.
transgender
I got that.
individual.
I got
and
that.
then that's when I emphasized so much with Capital Pride that we needed this special day to be trans pride and not based upon entertainment.
I got that.
It's education.
Yeah.
It's about those that are living that experience,
Right,
not,
and the struggle of it all. You know, our heroes that has gone on, that left legacy.
It's important. People have to, first of all, we have to begin to teach the importance of our history. And the history is not only just gay men.
Right.
It's trans
Right.
women
Right.
and trans
That's right.
men.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Right.
is
True.
people of color of our Latinx community, which we, for some reason, we feel like we exclude them, and we do. And they're people of color. So we have to begin at our Asian Pacific brothers,
Absolutely.
our Islanders.
Absolutely.
All of those brown and beige people, we have to begin to start doing some healing and some research and understanding the history of LGBT people of color in this country, and begin to sit down and dialogue. And then we have to go into the trans community and talk about the issues that exist, that when women are, or men who become trans, and then they begin to feel, I'm no longer part of that community.
Right.
So then they begin to separate themselves.
And
Right.
step back.
We got to talk about those issues.
So,
Eric,
Yes.
Eric Shields said a lot of it has to do with broken individuals who end up projecting self-hatred onto others, and they usually hurt those in closest proximity to themselves. I think it's very true.
Sure, absolutely.
It is.
And part of it is about proximity and not and awareness, and not having a relationship, or not having any empathy for people who are different than themselves.
Right.
And not knowing anyone that's trans. You know, you can't
And the
appreciate
greatest thing of it
experience.
all, I am rejected from most of my family.
Really?
But I turned that rejection into something positive, into the community that accepts me beyond a ball. The youth is into the ball and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And a program that I'm running is called Dime Piece. And that's where older transgender individual is mentoring a younger person and taking them beyond the ball into the work fields, so that girls like me can sit back and turn them into young activists.
And pass the torch.
Savannah is tired.
Yeah.
So, no, so you can't do all the work, Savannah.
No.
But here is a level of questions that will and speaks to why May is Trans Month. We have to begin to talk about life skill issues. We have to
Right.
begin to talk about issues on how to balance a checkbook, how to come from the corner and to a career.
Right.
We have to begin to talk about how do we get affordable housing, how do we get housing, how do we address our health issues, mental, physical, spiritual healing. How do we begin to prepare ourselves for speaking, dressing, acting, conducting ourselves as such, and moving through the world with pride and dignity. So it's a whole lot of things that, unfortunately, that is so important that we have Trans Month is all about.
That's
in May.
right.
May is Trans Month complete, and all of those issues that you have created, and talking about all of the levels, the complicated levels that trans people deal with on a daily basis.
Yes.
Right.
What are
That's
some of the
true.
major? I mean, what are some of the sort of the primary challenges? Because DC is a very liberal town. I mean, it's not like Alabama, but we still have our barriers.
That's
here.
true. A challenge could be just getting up, going out the door, experiencing the world. Would you be a blender, or would you be a person that is picked out of the crowd and laughed at and tormented? Are you able to get on a bus with school kids and remain silent, or will you be taunted?
And ostracized.
And can you apply for a job? And after you fill out the application, the person realizes that you are not like them. They tear your application up. And then how can we get housing if we can't pay for our rent? So we turn to other means of monies, such as sex work,
Right.
or whatever else.
And then
we
unfortunately,
could need.
here's the thing in a nutshell. They have shut out Backpage, so the girls now have to really
Backpage.
Backpage used
Educate
That's
me.
another show.
You know, I'm very naive here.
Backpage
so
was
I'm
a
new
way
to the
for the
game.
girls to advertise. what
Backstage
they-
was the
their
page where the
services.
girls would advertise their services.
Okay.
And it was on social media, and they've shut that down.
Yeah.
And it took the girls off the corner and gave them a safe haven where they could work and
Like everybody else does.
And everybody else do, like Stormy Daniels and all the rest of them are working
Now you
on
can just do
social
it.
media.
Now just do it through Facebook. I'm sorry.
But they're doing that already.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it is forcing many of the girls back on the corner, and we have to teach them that the corner is not your career.
And I would
And
imagine.
then what I emphasize more is when I go to an organization and they say we represent the LGBTQ community, but I come up to use the services and I'm not married.
Gotcha.
We need to see more transgender employment, and then we don't need to put the transgender employee in the back.
Right.
We need to be seen.
They need to be throughout the organization.
That's right. And not
Leadership
just
on down.
and
Right.
not just one. Now I'm referred to in the community as a token, and I wear that title proudly because the token opens that little bitty gap right there and opens up a big window and tell all her sisters and brothers, come on in here, we taking over.
Right, and then we also have to teach our young, especially our young trans brothers and trans sisters, because a lot of times when we talk about trans issues as a whole, we always talk to and speak to trans women, and we
Right.
Right. Just trans men.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I applaud the amazing actor who just did Law and Order.
Oh, my God,
Who
yes.
spoke and addressed.
we were looking to do something with
Right. We were just talking about
He's
that.
an actor model. Right. I can't
And
remember
that
his
was
name. I can't remember
that
his
was so it taught so many people the experience of transgender men.
Right.
But I also,
Yes.
and speaking of that, Greenleaf, not
Yeah.
Greenleaf, Queen Sugar.
Yeah.
name. Sugar did a piece,
Ha-
right.
They had
The
a
police officer.
character last season, which was really groundbreaking. And what I appreciated about the way they did it, he was just a regular, everyday person, and I enjoyed that they didn't try to exploit the story. That he was just the police officer.
And you didn't know till at the
You didn't
end.
know until he said it. I think I'm extremely happy to hear about Trans Pride Month.
May is trans.
May is-
May is all about
May is all about trans.
Right.
Right.
And I think it's important because I think there are so many amazing trans people who have done amazing things.
That's true.
And Marsha P. Johnson is one person who
yes.
once I found out who she was and then did research about her, I just thought that she was absolutely amazing. And she is one of those people, if it wasn't for women like her, we wouldn't have a Pride. We wouldn't have Pride originated.
And Sylvia Rivera.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes, you know what I mean?
So we wouldn't have a Stonewall.
we
and-
would, right. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And so I think that when we talk about, and I think a part of the reason why sometimes there is a division, I think because a lot of the gay men don't understand that it's on the backs of these people that this community is really built upon.
Well,
You
part
see
of it
what
is
I
that
mean?
people
Yes.
don't know, and so if you only have interaction with people like yourself,
This is true.
then you don't have an empathy or appreciation for people that are different from you.
And here are another things that I applaud that someone says, PJ Morgan is
Yeah, I
talking
was gonna
about
go, yeah.
a lot of the issues that and on utilizing workforce programs in the DC. They're very limited. And unfortunately, even with those, they still have to be educated around issues on how first to address trans people coming in the door.
And
Well,
so,
and
So
everyone
we still
has that
work-
problem.
We
I mean,
still working on
We've
that.
talked about that.
And then we're utilizing. I'm trying to throw some of the things that the people are throwing us at Facebook. People are talking about some of the programs that Savannah has during this wonderful conference in the whole month of May, talking about utilizing health issues, how to prepare the girls to health insurance and prepare for burial insurance. And they speak and they address all of those in wonderful workshops. So all the things that people are saying on Facebook Live, we're catching you and we appreciate you. And then someone even talked about why they shut down Backpage because they were doing child trafficking on Backpage, and that was the main reason.
So, Samantha, I want to make sure that that the viewers know how to get information on this. How they can learn more about this
You'll
event.
get information off of our page. May is
transgender.
May is
all about
May
trans.
is all
Trans.
about
Oh,
trans.
trans.
So is that
Okay.
the
That's the
website?
Facebook page.
May,
Facebook.
May is all about trans.
Yes.
That's the page on Facebook.
That's the page on
Okay,
Facebook.
okay.
All the information and also
And we Team Racine is partnered up to do a
Exactly.
trans mixer
Yes.
at Shaw Library Thursday, May 17th. It is free. It starts at 6 p.m. We the People, along with Team Racine, is partner up. I'm allowing the Fix Up
Team
experience.
Racine.
and that
Are
would
we
be
a
May
part
the
of Team
17th.
Racine?
Yes, you are.
That would
part
be
of
May
Team
the
Racine.
17th
Yeah.
at
Okay.
Shaw Library.
Shaw Library, and it's
also
free and
I'm
open to the public.
Also, I'm going into the community and asking
To the mic, speak to the mic.
asking people that is available to come to the mixer that's interested in having coffee or deeper conversation with a transgender individual, not necessarily dating, but an understanding.
Standing.
Sure,
And we're
sure.
going to begin to break ice through different forms of
And
communication.
us
Right.
helping us is involved in this, correct?
Let me tell you the relationship with the transgender community with us helping us. We're historically, and I hope it's into I know it's not going to be in your movie, but since
I don't know. I didn't
since I'm
produce the
partnered
movie.
with us helping us, I'm going to edit a whole lot. Ron Simmons.
It's around the
I'm going
history.
to edit a whole lot. But y'all have an angel on board, Dr. DeMarc.
And we've
that
had
has
DeMarc on the show.
changed.
We've had DeMarc on the
I
show.
know.
Yeah, he was on the show.
I
Yeah.
know. You know, I'm a fan, so I was there. And he is so amazing that I couldn't do nothing but make him president of May is.
Oh, really? He's president.
May
Got it.
Oh,
is.
wow. Trans.
May is trans.
All about
It's all
trans.
about
There we
trans.
go.
There you go.
There we go.
Right,
We
right.
got
Y'all,
it.
it's
And it's
May.
wonderful.
It's all
I
about
posted
trans.
That's
it
right.
in here.
That's right.
And please
then
follow that
the-
on social
and
media,
then
Yes.
Twitter,
his
Instagram, and Facebook
his
as well.
genius mind has taken me to levels
Okay.
that I could not.
Shout out DeMarc.
Yeah, and then the relationship, the first time this relationship to this extent with Gilead Pharmaceutical Companies
Okay.
is unbelievable.
And in defense, because I can't let you throw a dig like that and not come
Okay.
back.
All
I
right.
will say, in defense of us helping us, when I was working there under Ken Pettigrew, you can check, we actually had a pilot program called Girl Talk, which we worked with we partnered with transgender women to help come up with a curriculum.
Miss Gibby Thomas,
Miss Gibby
the one
Thomas,
who created it.
she was one of the creators. Thank you.
So I don't want too much time to go. But
so-
Hi, JJ.
what
That's
about
right.
nationally? Nationally, being a black trans person, what are those issues? I mean, and then what is it like in other areas of the country? In the South, what's it like? What's it like
Just
in New
like
York?
even parts of D.C., you're accepted in some places and you're not accepted in other places. So when you're in California, when you're in San Francisco, you're just more accepted than you are in certain parts of L.A. L.A. So
I think
that-
I'd like to say, excuse me, I'm sorry. I think the
Yes.
biggest issue of people of the trans experience is fear of being outed and
Yes.
fear of being killed.
Yes.
And we have to start going into these communities. We have to start educating and breaking stigmas. We have to take down the walls that exist and why people do not understand the full trans experience and why when people hear it or say it and when trans people lose their lives, they always use the attacker always uses, "I didn't know they were."
So,
And that would we have to begin to start advocating for that, because that's a
true.
scapegoat for
and
murder.
what about that? I mean, there's been an heightened level of violence against transgender women of color specifically.
That's true.
Is that still an issue? I mean,
Yes, it is still
So
an issue.
what has
and
happened
we
as
will
a
always
result
have
of
this
that?
November event called Transgender Day of Remembrance.
Gotcha.
Where it's brought to attention the people that has just been killed that year. And the most gruesome murder that I heard last year was a woman, and they said most murders are people that's in your circle and that are friends. So she had 3 other friends, and they decided, well, we don't want to be your friend anymore. So they tie her up, stab her, cut her all up, then put her on fire. Hearing this story just touched my heart just terribly.
It's heartbreaking.
It's just heartbreaking. And then you go down to New Orleans, and then it's a sport to shoot at transgender individuals.
Yeah,
So our people need to be educated.
Yes.
People need to be educated.
That's true.
It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart to hear that.
Does it
in
help that with the
2018.
high-profile entertainers that are transgender, like a Laverne Cox or Janet Mock? Does it help? Do they help raise a level of awareness about the humanity of a person that is transgender?
Well, they are great advocates, and they are at the level to be heard. So we have to use that. Laverne, I know she's an advocate 24/7.
Right.
Well, I will say this. I do think, in reference to what you said, I do believe that when you start, because for some people, I mean, we do live in Washington, D.C., so we are a little bit more...
We have some privileges.
Yeah, we have
Yes.
privileges that are not happening in other parts of the country. Really quickly, I think that Laverne Cox and I think that...
Janet Mock.
Janet Mock.
On Star, Amaya.
Right.
Oh,
I
yes.
think having that presence, what it does, it introduce something that you don't know into your home, which
That's
then makes it a little bit more familiar. And then what happens is then it says that, okay, then I can now see you like me, which I think is why it was so big when we saw blacks on TV.
Right,
When it
exactly.
was so big when we saw gays on TV.
Right.
When Ellen came out, it was huge
Yeah.
because we finally. You see what I mean? So I think.
But here's also, I want this piece to be so important and to be remembered: the importance of our trans seniors, underserved population that does not go that's overlooked. And then I want people to understand the history of people like Lady Java, Sir Lady Java, Tracy African Norman,
Yes.
Moms Mabel, who broke down barriers
right,
and
Yes.
kicked down doors, and who was officially, who she was and authentic as who she was. So people need to know that these important people went before the Janet Mocks and the
Right.
Laverne
Right, right.
Cox,
Yeah.
because for some reason only people try to identify with what they see now.
Right.
Sure,
And that's
sure.
what I was saying earlier.
So we got to appreciate the history.
So that's
The
why
history.
May is all about trans is so important,
Right.
and capital trans coming up is so important, and also we Team Racine would like to partner up with you and try to work with getting more performers involved and more people who are advocates in our community who would say, as a straight performer or a straight singer, I want to come and perform for Pride, and I don't have the opportunity, but I'd like to give my gift and my talent. So let's work on getting that.
So
together.
we just got a few more.
And we
few
have
more
a
minutes.
day too. It's open mic day to be at Westminster, May the 12th. So come on down and show all sorts of.
So we need to go to the page and get the calendar.
all sorts of calendars.
that we're learning.
And the calendars are placed all over.
Okay.
My partnership with Capital Pride, the calendars are there on their
Okay.
webpage and everything.
So on Facebook, it is May is all about trans. Thank
It's
you.
all about trans. Okay.
On Facebook.
All right.
And then I want to emphasize this one thing. I'm going to say it real quick. You mentioned that you had a relationship with a whole lot of transgender
I do.
individuals.
I do.
And you are loving in that
I
area.
do. I love them to pieces.
Lee Daniels introduced something too, and he's loving in the transgender community. So we're going to make 10 and 20 of you and Lee Daniels, place them all around the place, and they're going to teach 10 and 20 other people, and we're going to become more trans loving
Right.
as the numbers add and multiply.
And it starts with each individual. When I tell you that most of my trans sisters and my trans mother, all of them have been introduced to my family and are welcomed into my family. They come to family functions. I have family members on here now that know all of them. So it starts with the individual, and it takes you introducing people to other people, and it changes. It changes.
Who else do you need to get involved in this? Because I mean, I hear the usual suspects. I hear Whitman Walker. I hear us helping us. But who else? Who else needs to get involved? How about the club promoters? Have they gotten involved in this? Have we reached out to them?
Not yet, but we do have
all the social groups mandate.
Yeah,
Impulse.
We have 19 sponsors.
Okay, good.
We have 19 sponsors that rise from us helping us. Impulse DC.
Bam.
Mandate.
Bam.
Okay. Any women's groups?
NMAC. I haven't.
Okay,
no,
all right.
I've been posting and advocating and this and that.
Brown sugar bass. Where's brown sugar? I want brown sugar needs to be involved. What about the DC
goal
Center?
Is we have 19 this year. We need 60 sponsors next year.
Okay.
And this is a whole year's job, not just
right,
May.
well,
I do want to say this before we roll out. Savannah, they can find you on the page.
You can
as
find
the
me on the
administrator.
page on my personal page.
Please give them your name. Spell it for them.
Savannah, SAVANNA, and my last name is Wanzer.
Okay.
WANZ as in zebra, ER.
And I say that because though we are based here in Washington D.C., I know there are other trans advocates across the country, and if they're watching, I would love for them to contact you and hopefully bring. May is all about trans.
May is all about
to other areas.
There's a Black Trans Conference that goes on this spring, isn't it?
Black
Trans.
We just had a LGBT.
Like in Memphis or somewhere.
Yeah,
Dallas.
it's coming up.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's
they
have the pageant too, Mr. and Miss Trans International.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're going to have to go, folks. I want to thank Savannah. Thank you for joining us. Everyone, look out for May is all about trans.
All about trans.
We will be in the house for a multitude of the events.
I'm going to call you up and test you to see if you really got it.
We will be there. I want to thank Racine. I want to thank Your Day for joining us. And next week we have Earl Folks,
who is fun.
It is
president of Center for Black Equity. So Earl, I'm putting you on notice that you have to come.
Shaquita Lee said suffer.
All right.
Oh, can I say this real quick? I mean, since we are talking about trans, I just want everybody. We have a couple of seconds. Please be yourself, because everybody else is taken. Think about it, be inspired, and get you some.
All right.
That's right.
Bye, y'all. See you next week.
Good night, all.
Bye. Thank you, Jacob.
Listen vision. DC's #1 recording studio.